Choose to challenge.
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 challenge. Choose to challenge.
Choose to challenge.
Choose to challenge.
Choose to challenge.
challenge. Choose to challenge.
Choose to challenge.
Choose to challenge.
Choose to challenge.
I know that this is a hybrid event. We have people here in the hall at Harbour Point here in Victoria Island, Lagos. We also have our online delegates, guests who have hooked up with us via our different streaming platforms. We want to announce to you that please do bear with us. As a tease, Lagos has its own very unique quail situation. And the event is going to be kicking off officially in a very few minutes. And then as soon as that happens, the program itself just goes on flowing on. Today we are going to be witnessing the honor of the women who definitely have made impact in our society. Unfortunately or fortunately, the COVID-19 situation has created where we have to definitely uphold some of those protocols. So please do bear with us. Online viewers, we are going to be starting up any moment from now. As soon as that is done, you can be rest assured that the event will progress fully. Thank you very much.
Everyone needs funds, but can you transact seamlessly whenever you need to?
Oh, where is my card?
Can't find your debit card? Just open a First Bank account and need access to your funds. Outside the country and your card is either damaged, expired, or lost? Tired of branch visits and queues? No need to worry. Introducing First Bank's virtual card. It's like a physical debit card, only virtual. You can now enjoy direct access to your funds. Shop whenever you want, even if you can't find your physical debit card. Transact with ease anywhere you are. Avoid queues and branch visits and make payments effortlessly. No need to miss classes anymore. How does this work? All you need to do is to download your virtual card from the dashboard on your First mobile app or click My Virtual Card on your First Money Wallet app. Activate your card, tap the eye icon or card pan for details and transact seamlessly. Existing customers can easily update their First mobile app or First Money Wallet to the latest version. Creating a virtual card only costs 215 Naira. Your virtual card is safe and you can also generate your account statement. How awesome is that? For more info, visit www.firstbanknigeria.com/virtual card.
started in terms of acquaintance we have, and there is no other person than the chairman, First Bank of Nigeria Limited, Mrs. Ibuku Awoshika. I recognize you especially, Ma, because earlier on when I was recognizing the members on that table, I just realized that I didn't know who was the person sitting in white. So I guess the face mask itself makes this kind of difficult. Certainly, I of course recognize Madam Yewande Zakios, a member board of the Wimbies. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, oftentimes when we have events of this nature, people make certain arguments, whether it's necessary or not. In my opinion and in my experience as a professional master of ceremony, I realize a lot of the discussions oftentimes that go on in such events help in terms of filling in ideas, insight that can actually help policies as well as innovations to thrive. Today we are here at the International Women's Day Summit 2021 that the Guardian and Wimbeds and their partners have been able to put together. And this is quite important because we are in the age of the woman. Oftentimes people might want to debate that, but the fact still remains that until we have a genderly balanced society, so much of the crisis that we are facing will certainly be with us. And so it's important for us to make those cases of how women themselves have defined the status quo in the sense that they have, created different levels of standards that we all have to emulate. And so I want to say a big thank you very much to every single one of us here seated that has made this a reality. And of course, to all of you who are watching us online, we want to say a big thank you as well, because it is a hybrid event. A lot of us won't be able to be here on the ground. Why? We know that technology has helped us to be able to connect with one another regardless of the COVID-19 challenges. And definitely, I want to say a big thank you also to the Guardian, and certainly to Wimbes and Oland and Bridge for the opportunity and privilege to be the anchor of today's event. I've been quite fortunate, like I said earlier on, to actually anchor women-centric events. This itself is a reflection of the fact that we understand how important not just the role of women are in our society, but we are all offshoots of womanhood. And this is the reason why oftentimes when I say that men themselves have so much to learn from the women. For example, I know that the women save better than the men. Whatever you give to the woman, she multiplies it geometrically. And so if you recognize all of these talents, it means that with access to opportunities, what more can a woman do? Of course, they are going to definitely make the world much more beautiful and colorful. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are a man here, please can I ask you to stand up with the power invested on me as the MC. If you're a man here, please kindly stand up. Thank you very much. We see we are not quite many. So I would like to ask you, please put your hands together for the women in the house. Thank you. Now you can sit down. You are very distinguished, as a matter of fact, as a man in a woman-centric event, because it means that your contribution definitely will have an impact. The International Women's Day is one event that we oftentimes recognize in the month of March. And so some people say that why don't we make the month of March fully the Women's Month? But whether we accept that or not, what it means is the fact that it has given an opportunity for discourse to actually hold. And those discourse, as a matter of fact, will certainly help us to see the areas we've done well, which other areas we need to do well, and see exactly how those opportunities can be shared amongst us all. And so, as a way of identifying with the spirit of today, I decided to put on pink, which I understand is the woman's color. So please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for me. Even my face mark is pink. And so, because we realize the fact that the woman doesn't just add color to everything that they touch, they certainly bring excellence to whatever it is that they engage with. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great delight to anchor this event. My name is Stephen Ipalabo Lawson. I host the NTA2 Business Matter TV program as well. We understand that today is fast spent, and so you're not here to listen to me. But before we kick off the program officially, I would like to invite Mr. Kolawole Adebisi who is the manager, safety moments of this venue, to please come give us some of the safety measures that we need to adhere to. Please, Mr. Kolawole Adebisi. Safety is very important because what we're also dealing with is a pandemic that has changed the fabric of society and the world today. And so we must be very careful with what we do. Unfortunately, some of us have lost people to the COVID, and we are thankful that those who have survived. Mr. Kola Adebisi, thank you.
Good afternoon. We welcome you to the Harbour Point Event Center. Please note that in compliance with the Lagos State Safety Commission's regulations, we are obliged to advise you of our COVID-19 safety protocols as follows. All guests are to sit on chairs as prearranged. That is 6 per table, and no movement of chairs are allowed. Sanitize your hands using the alcohol-based sanitizers available within the hall premises. Check your temperature regularly. Be sure you are not above 37 degrees Celsius. Wear your masks. Should you have to eat or drink, ensure your masks are back on once you're done. Keep safe social distancing between one another. As much as you can, practice contactless greetings. No hugging or shaking of hands. If you must greet, then make use of the elbow greetings. Avoid touching or rubbing your eyes, your nose, and mouth. Should you feel sick, please avoid interacting with other guests and vacate the venue. Use the exit door only to my left. If you must leave the venue, and if you have to come back in, please ensure to come in through the sanitizing chamber so that you are properly sanitized, or otherwise you could use the wash-hand stations and wash your hands with soap thoroughly. Please note that we take this very seriously, as contravention of any of the protocols can lead to heavy fines for ourselves, your hosts, and possible closure of our venue. We trust we can count on your cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kolawole. Ladies and gentlemen, as a way to officially kick off the program, may I ask that we're all upstanding for the national anthem and the national prayer, which is the 2 stanzas of our national anthem. Over to you, DJ Cheflon. Thank you. Each time I'm oftentimes tempted to say hip hip hip, because I now realize it's the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome officially to the International Women's Day Summit 2021, Choose to Challenge. When Mr. Olayanka Balariwa of The Guardian called me to say, Stephen Lawson, will you be interested in anchoring an event that is women-centered? I was very excited and I jumped on it. And this was because of the fact that the subject of the woman is no longer a buzzword. It has become a strategic concern that we definitely must take seriously. Amongst which one of the way is to recognize those who have created models that are worth emulating. And so I want to say a big thank you to The Guardian, Orland and Bridge, as well as Winbees for putting together this wonderful event. First also, I would like to recognize our sponsor, in particular our gold sponsor, the First Bank of Nigeria Limited. Please put your hands together for them. Who knows, the First Bank itself has definitely demonstrated a lot of firsts. And if you don't have an account with the First Bank, make sure you open one at the end of today. I have an account with First Bank. And I can assure you that at the end of today, the zeros in that account will increase, courtesy the chairman of First Bank. So, ladies and gentlemen, we also would like to recognize Mekano Jiffy by Mekano, one of our sponsors. Please put your hands together for them. These are the brands who are very insightful and they see the essence behind making sure that events like this hold. We also would like to say a big thank you to the Lagos State, just a moment, LSETF, I'm going to get that in full. We'll say a big thank you to Berlinpex as well as channels and other sponsors we are going to announce as the program increases. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a wonderful day because it's a Saturday, it's a weekend. And some people might wonder, why is The Guardian or Winbees or Orland and Bridge have decided to put an event of this nature on a Saturday? Well, for me, some people will say weekends are for Owambears. And I can assure you that because today is a weekend, we are going to try as much as possible to make this as fun-filled as we can. But not to forget, we have a wonderful keynote presenter in the house who is going to help us set the agenda for our panel discussion. And the panel discussion is important for us to begin to see how we understand certain things that are supposed to be understood. As a privileged person, in a sense, with the opportunity to anchor this event, I look forward to a lot of the presentations as well as the engagement. And so I want to say a big thank you to every single one of us who have been able to make it here, and certainly to all of you who are watching me online right now. Thank you so very much for joining us. Please, can we put our hands together for ourselves? Like in every other event, we know that every one of us is very important. But I want to say a big thank you as I recognize the people in the house with us. First, we'll say a big thank you to the chairman, publisher of The Guardian, Lady Maiden Alex Ibro. Please, can we put our hands together for her? We understand also, certainly, that some of our VIPs are joining us via the digital platform. But I would like to say a big welcome to Our Excellency, Erelu Bisi Fayemi. Please, can we put our hands together for her? It's always a wonderful thing to see her because I know that she's full with so much to make a presentation from. Certainly, the chair of the Board of Trustees, Winbees, Mrs. Ifeanyiwa Igodalo, we recognize you. Thank you very much for being here, ma'am. We also understand definitely that the chairman, First Bank of Nigeria Limited, Mrs. Ibuku Awoshika, is in the house. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Well, interestingly enough, we're going to be having a panel. When I was called to anchor the event, I was a little bit worried. I said, is it that you have only me as a man that is going to be standing on the podium? But gladly, Mrs. H.A., as we fondly call her, says, no, you don't have to worry. We have a man as well that is going to be joining the panel. And indeed, we are blessed amongst women. And that is Mr. Peter Bankole, the Director, Enterprise Development Center, Pan-African University, Pan-Atlantic University. Thank you very much. You're one of our speakers. We also would like to recognize via the online platform the United Nations Women Country Representative for Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ms. Comfort Lamte. She's joining us via Zoom and different streamline platforms. Certainly, I will also say a big welcome to the member of the board of the Wimbase, Madam Yewande Zacchaeus. Please, can we put our hands together for her? I'll say a big welcome to all of the people who have come all the way from Ekiti. It's not easy. We know some of the challenges with traveling these days. We say, Ekabo, okay, Eshe Pupo. All right, so my Yoruba, as a matter of fact, is improving. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we also say a big thank you and welcome to every single one of you in the house. We understand that the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs also is going to be joining us via the digital platform. We recognize you, ma'am. As these graduates, I'm going to do the necessary recognition. And certainly, I have Mrs. Maokwe Ogun Yusuf, who is going to be the panel moderator for this event. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Ladies and gentlemen, like you are aware, you're not here to listen to me. I'm not the one who basically is going to be presenting the awards. Neither am I the one who is going to be engaged on the panel. My job is just basically a very wonderful one, is to just be also a timekeeper as well as the coordinator for today's event. And I know the day is fast spent, but above every other thing, to see a world where gender equality becomes not just a word like a flash in the pan, it becomes a consistent, continuous lifestyle, everyday living, as the case might be. And this is my desire. And so on that note, I would like to invite the chairman and publisher of The Guardian, Lady Maiden Alex Ibru, to come forth to give the welcome address. Please, can you put your hands together for her? Can one of the ushers direct her? Thank you very much.
Dame Pauline Talen, Honorable Minister for Women Affairs and Social Development of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Ms. Comfort Lamte, United Nations Country Representative in Nigeria and ECOWAS. Our guest speaker, Her Excellency Erelu Bisi Fayemi, First Lady of Ekiti State. Mrs. Ibokun Awoshika, Chair, Board of Directors, First Bank of Nigeria Limited. Our paper presenter, Professor Abigail Idisika Ogwezi of the University of Lagos. In fact, she's a member of the editorial board of The Guardian. Panelists, especially Mr. Bankole, Director, Enterprise Development Center, Pan-Atlantic University. Sponsors, the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The theme of the 2021 International Women's Day being Women in Leadership. Achieving an equal future in a COVID-19 world aligns perfectly with the Goal 5 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, which states, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Today, The Guardian, with the strategic partnership of Wimbase and the insightful support of our sponsors, have responded to the spirit of the theme by recognizing the need to reward excellence in women who especially operate in public service. As a flagship publication, The Guardian has been in the forefront of promoting the aspirations of women. From our editorials to special publications and desk focused on telling the stories of successful women, whilst highlighting the challenges that leaders must prefer solutions to. By so doing, The Guardian is expanding access to opportunities for women empowerment so as to enable them contribute their quota to the development of the Nigerian society. Before this time, the task before us all has been daunting, but with the ever-do spirit of the woman, especially in the face of seemingly insurmountable hurdles, we are proud to celebrate the many that have emerged as models and icons of excellence, productivity, innovation, and leadership, while inspiring others to climb the ladder. Regardless of the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic that has affected us on personal, national, and global levels, together we have emerged stronger, wiser, and better to fulfill our common destiny. The pandemic no doubt changed our perspectives as to how things have been done, what we now call the new normal, and opened us all to a future of doing things differently. Has it been easy? Your answer is as good as mine. Yet we're here today hosting a hybrid event that is happening both on-site and online whilst adhering to the COVID-19 protocols. Some may ask, why the public sector? Well, because the public sector in Nigeria is a key part of our national life. It is the engine room, the vehicle and machinery of government policy formulation and programs implementation for the delivery of development initiatives. It acts as a catalyst for crystallizing shared goals of the citizenry. Though women in public sector contribute immensely, they are hardly recognized. Notably today, we hear of one of our own great Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who against all odds emerged as the new Director General of the World Trade Organization, the first woman and the first African to occupy the office. She had served in the public sector as a former foreign affairs minister, as well as Minister of Finance for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. She previously served as a managing director of the World Bank as well. Her Excellency, Mrs. Samuel Salihu Hassan, was sworn in on 19th March 2021. She is the first female president of the United Republic of Tanzania following the death of John Magufuli. We wonder, if Magufuli did not die, would she have been replaced after his tenure by a woman? At times, destiny really plays a good surprise on we humans, so we congratulate her. We have other women who have occupied offices of leadership at the highest level and left behind legacies that have become reference points for good governance, economic development, innovative thinking, and the quest to build a more equitable and just world for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we must invest in women. We must invest in gender equality and women's empowerment. It is the practical thing to do. These investments cannot only unlock the human potential on a transformational scale, the returns can be impactful on a geometrical level for the benefit of all. We also must create platforms as the IWD 2021 event to showcase these possibilities and gains. Indeed, this is the first ever event to recognize and honor the women in the public sector, both at the federal and state government levels in Nigeria. It is also a platform to deliberate on issues of national interest as they relate to the roles of women in the public sector in synchronization with the private sector development and the economy in general. The hashtag "We Choose to Challenge" is beyond a buzz. It seeks to further increase insight into the challenges faced by women in different aspects of life, as well as provide solutions to end gender-based inequality. It provides an inestimable opportunity to push forward the conversations surrounding the role of women in society at large. Women are the real architects of society. A woman with a vision empowers an empire of women to do more, see more, and be committed. This is a gathering of champions. This is a gathering of leaders. Congratulations to all our recipients. Congratulations to the organizing committee. It gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome you all to the International Women's Day Summit 2021, the Guardian recognition of excellence for women in public service. Yes, the world of work and service is beginning to realize that the man for the job is a woman after all. We have to begin to recognize distinction and achievement. We choose to challenge. Thank you.
Ma'am, may I ask that, may I hold you back a little moment, ma'am? Madam, my apologies. I might have to ask that you come back, ma'am. Please put your hands together for my madam. We will be presenting the first set of awards. Careful. Sorry. So please, let's be careful. We need to present the first set of awards, which obviously is the lifetime recognition. We have to just adjust the program a little bit so that we start off with the awards now. So may I ask that you kindly stand in the middle, ma'am. Thank you very much. And she is going to be presenting, as a matter of fact, our first set of awards. And I understand that my usher, as well as Mr. TJ, should be on ground to help with this. Apparently, ma'am, we have 6 categories of awards. And then each of those 6 categories of awards, some have subsets. And some of those subsets definitely has no man in it. So there is no mago-mago, as a matter of fact. It's all the recognition of women. And we're starting up first with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And so, ladies and gentlemen, are we ready? Please, can I have my usher and then certainly bring my plaque to me? Under this category, we have several numbers of people, of women, who themselves have distinguished themselves in their career, as the case is, in ensuring that excellence, just as your welcome address actually pinpointed, has been able to create models that has helped us to see the fact that women have the can-do spirit that can definitely deliver. And so a lot of these awards are obviously based on merit. And these awards based on merit means the fact that these are people who have distinguished themselves in their different careers. And so our first set of awards, which is the lifetime recognition, is being presented here by Lady Maiden Alex Ibro, the chairman and publisher of The Guardian, for the benefit of those who are watching online. And so I will say the first person is Mrs. Ebele Okeke. This is in appreciation of outstanding contribution to the public service in Nigeria as a way of commemorating with the International Women's Day Spirit 2021. Please, can you put your hands together for Mrs. Ebele Okeke? Some of them have to join us online. Some of them are actually... Is she on seat, or is there any other representative? No preps? Okay, so I guess she must be joining us online. Certainly. So that is your plug. So if you are watching us online, congratulations to you, Mrs. Ebele Okeke. All right. Next, I have here, as a matter of fact, the first female general in Nigerian Air Force Medical Corps. As a matter of fact, she is Air Commodore Habiba Garuba, retired. As a matter of fact, please can we put our hands together for her? She's ably represented here by Fadimatu Familia, who is coming in to pick up the awards. Please put your hands together for her.
Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions.
Congratulations.
My dear lady, the chairman and publisher of Guardian newspaper, it has come to my notice following the Guardian newspaper publication of March 23rd, 2021, that I am a recipient of the Lifetime Recognition Award for the International Women's Day Summit 2021. It is indeed a pleasant surprise. It is therefore with sincere gratitude that I accept the award. This recognition is most gratifying, considering the phenomenal role of women in nation building and human development in our country, Nigeria. However, I sincerely apologize for my inability to attend this award ceremony on the scheduled date, 27th March 2021, due to circumstances beyond my control. All the same, I'm sending a worthy representative to attend on my behalf. I therefore dedicate this award to every girl child and woman in Nigeria and Africa who was denied the right to be educated for whatever reason. I therefore plead that every woman who had the privilege of being somebody in life should touch and make a difference in the life of another girl child and woman. Thank you.
I want to thank Wimbies and Guardian newspapers for this honor, for recognition of the women. We all recollect that in this country, for many years ago, girls are not taken very seriously. When a man has a boy, he's so happy. He doesn't look that happy. He is happy, but doesn't look that happy when he's told that he has a girl. But in the last 20 to 30 years, it's amazing how men are treasuring their children, their girl child. Because it's obvious that the girl children, they're achievers, they do well in academics, they're very conscientious when they work, wherever they work, and they make their parents proud. And when the parents are old, they are the people who will always reach out and say, Mommy, Daddy, how are you? Now, I want to say thank you once again, but I want us to all realize that they say that we are excelling. We are the people in the group that have excelled. It's important to know that it is God who made us excel, not ourselves. No matter how intelligent we are, it is God that has made it possible. So I say thank you to God. I'm dedicating this honor to God, to my family, and to all the women, especially those women at the grassroots who toil day and night, and nobody seems to recognize what they're doing. Thank you. Thank you, Wimbies. Thank you, the Guardian newspapers, but most importantly, we thank God.
All right. Well, as you've seen, this is... all right. Thank you. As you've seen, this is the power of technology. Regardless of the fact that some of us can't be here physically, we certainly can definitely pass our message across virtually. Our next awardee, as a matter of fact, is no other person than Rear Admiral Itunu Hutunu, retired, and this is in appreciation of her standing contribution to the public service in Nigeria as well. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Or the representative? Okay, pardon me. Well, she must be watching online, so she needs to see that this is your award. Thank you very much. Well, our next lifetime recognition award goes certainly to, just a moment, Major General Aderonke Kale, retired, the first female general in the Nigerian Army Medical Corps. Please, let's have the award presented still. I understand that they might be joining us later on if they're not here physically, but we need to see the awards made presented for the sake of the online guests. Pardon me, ma'am. Sometimes it happens. Please, let's have an award. Thank you very much. It's important for us to have this presented because so that for record purposes, for those. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right. Okay, on our behalf. Okay, Madam. Collecting on our behalf is important so that we have physical representations for this. As a matter of fact, a lot of these women are first in their own right. And the next one goes to DIGIV Uche Okoronkwo, retired, also in appreciation of her standing contribution to the public service in Nigeria. Please, can we put our hands together for her?
For the champions, stand up, stand up, stand up. For the champions,
hold on.
for the champions, stand up. For the champions, stand up, stand up, stand up. For the champions, stand up.
Thank you very much. That is in appreciation of our standing contribution to the public service. Madam Chairman, I want to say a big thank you for your patience and for your excellent work. Please, can you put your hands together for the chairman? Well, because we... Be careful, man, please. Okay. Because we have to adjust the program a little bit. As soon as we have some of those other items, we will basically announce them across. But ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I want to say a big thank you to Lady Maiden Alex Ibru for such a wonderful job. That it's not been easy, as a matter of fact. And I say thank you one more time, ma'am. I would like to also recognize Senator Dr. Oluremi Tinubu OON team, we understand is here, the delegation representing her. First, the Executive Chairman, Lagos Mainland Local Government, Mrs. Omolola Essien. Please, can we put our hands together for her? You're welcome, ma'am. Honorable Wahab Alawiye King, Executive Chairman, Last Rep, is here too. Please, can we put our hands together for him? Honorable Bolanle Obe, Executive Chairman, Coca Agoda LCDA. You're welcome. Princess Rashidat Adu, Executive Chairman, Iru Victoria Island LCDA. You're welcome, ma'am. And certainly Alaja Fumi Mohammed, Executive Chairman, Apapa Igomu LCDA. You are welcome. We'll definitely recognize every other person as the program advances. Ladies and gentlemen, oftentimes it's not what you expect, but what happens oftentimes is a good experience, and that is some of the case where we have with the women. The fact that politically, socially, economically, they seem not to be given the kinds of opportunities that they need to be able to demonstrate their talents. But nevertheless, the progress may not be certainly the place we are meant to be, but we are sure that with every single step, we certainly will get there successfully. And so, to help me with the next category of award, which is Women in Active Service, I would like to invite the chairperson of the Board of Trustees of Wimbase, Mrs. Ifenywa Igodalo, to please come up. Please, can you put your hands together for her? Please, kindly watch your step here. And I'll be glad to know those who we have here in the house, the awardees, we will definitely recognize. Thank you very much, every single one of you. Please watch your step. Careful, ma. All right. Thank you very much, ma. Please, can you put your hands together for her? It's not an easy task. Sometimes people might think that it looks easy, but it's not at all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first on this list, I have the most impactful female federal minister of state, which is an award given to the Honorable Minister of State for FCT, Dr. Ramatu Tejani Aliyu, and this is in commemoration of the International Women's Day 2021. Please, can we put our hands together for her? And while we have the plaque being presented, even if she's not here physically, she obviously will see that we are presenting it to her. Okay, so we have a representative here. Thank you very much. Congratulations. You are indeed champions. Please watch your step. Thank you very much. Next, the outstanding female federal permanent secretary is awarded to Dr. Antonia Akpabio Ekpa. Please, can we put our hands together for her? And I'm sure we have a rep who is going to be taking that on our behalf. Please watch your step.
Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up. Stand up for the champions, for the champions.
All right, pardon me. We have the outstanding female secretary to the state government is awarded to Mrs. Tina Banku Agbo, who is the secretary to the Cross River State government. Please, can we put our hands together?
For the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up.
All right, thank you very much. And so we still have several numbers of them who definitely will be receiving their awards. So what I'll do basically is, Madam, with your kind permission, I'm just going to announce the different names, and I'm very sure we're going to definitely have that delivered. For the outstanding female executive in public service medical, the award goes to Dr. Aisha Adamu, who is the Chief Medical Director, Federal Medical Center, Jalingo in Taraba State. We have the outstanding female executive in public service maritime is awarded to Ms. Adiza Bala Usman, the MD Nigerian Ports Authority. Please, can we put our hands together for them? Outstanding female executive in public service aviation. Thank you, DJ. Outstanding female executive in public service aviation goes to Mrs. Victoria Shane Abba. She's the regional general manager, Southwest Airports of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and FAN. Congratulations to you, madam. Please, can we put our hands together for them? Great. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say a big thank you to my madam, who has definitely done well for me in this second category of the awards, Mrs. Ifeanyiwa Godalo. Please, can you put your hands together for her as she goes and take up her seat? Thank you very much, ma'am. Next in line, please watch your step. The two of you, thank you. All right. Next in step, just as we've adjusted the program, I would like to first recognize the representative of the wife of the Lagos State Governor here in the person of Barrister Mrs. Akiloye Bukola. Please, can we put our hands together for her? You're welcome, ma'am, Your Excellency. We thank you. Lagos State certainly has played host to a lot of this. We know for sure Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is one of our sponsors that have made this event possible. At this point in time, we will want to kick off into our program, but just a moment. At this point in time, we will be going into our next item on the agenda, and it gives me great delight to introduce our keynote speaker. She is a feminist activist, a gender and development specialist, policy advocate, social sector expert, and writer, with a bachelor's as well as a master's in history from the University of Ife, now known as Obafemi Awolowo University. She also received the master's in gender and society from the Middlesex University in the UK. She has a PhD honoris causa in sociology from the Tai Solarin University of Education. She is the co-founder of the African Women's Development Fund, the first African-wide grant-making foundation for women's organizations based in Ghana, and served as its first CEO for 9 years plus. As a matter of fact, the foundation has supported thousands of women's rights organizations in 42 African countries with millions of dollars in grants. She served as a UN Women Nigerian Senior Advisor from 2017 to 2018, and currently a visiting senior research fellow at the African Leadership Center, King's College, London. She is the author of Speaking for Myself. As a matter of fact, she also is the author of The Loud Whispers, certainly with Where Is Your Rapper? And definitely she is our amiable self, the First Lady of Ekiti State, Her Excellency Bisi Adeleye Fayemi. Please, can we put our hands together for her? Well, just a moment, ma'am.
Hello. Let me take off the mask. Okay. I was trying to avoid that because, you know, for those of us who have these head ties on, it can be a bit tricky. Your Excellency, the First Lady of Nigeria, Dr. Aisha Buhari, the Honorable Minister for Women's Affairs, Dame Pauline Talen, our host for today, Lady Maiden Ibru, my very dear big auntie and friend. Can you hear me okay? It's not. All the members of WIMBIS, the leadership of The Guardian, the panel of distinguished speakers for today, and all the distinguished friends who are online, good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon. I bring you warm greetings from Ekiti State, the land of honor. And I would also like to thank the sisters who have accompanied me to this program from Ekiti State, Mrs. Margaret Fagboyo, the Special Advisor to the Governor on Development Partnerships, and Mrs. Bola Sholanke, Senior Special Assistant on the Sustainable Development Goals. This is just to show that in Ekiti State, we take the issue of women's voices very seriously. I'm really delighted to be here today at this summit, and I thank the Guardian newspapers and the members of the Board of WIMBIS for inviting me. This is the season of International Women's Day, International Women's Month. And I must begin with a confession. I am weary. I am tired. Every time I'm asked to come and speak at events like this, usually about the same thing, to sometimes the same faces, I feel tired. And I believe, if you allow me to be a bit immodest, I have earned the right to be tired. Because I was at the Beijing conference in 1995 as a young woman who had a lot of dreams and aspirations for where she wanted to be years down the line, and where she wanted her generation to be, where she wanted her country and continent to be. Over 25 years later, even though a lot of progress has been made, we are still here talking about many of the same issues. So yes, I am weary. But then I remember that over the next 24 hours, somewhere in Nigeria, a little girl is going to be violated by someone she trusts. A woman is going to be kidnapped by terrorists and criminals. A woman is going to bleed to death trying to give birth to a baby. Over the next 24 hours here in Nigeria, a family is going to make the choice to marry their 15-year-old daughter off so they can afford to pay for her brother's education. Over the next 24 hours, a baby girl somewhere is going to have her genitals cut off in the name of culture and tradition. And in the next 24 hours, somewhere in this country, a widow is going to have to answer questions about how her husband died, because she will be the main suspect. And it goes on and on and on. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is why we cannot afford to be tired of showing up. Every year, governments and citizens of the world gather to mark this month, which has been set aside to celebrate and acknowledge the contributions of women all around the world. It is a time for reflection on how far we have come in raising the status of women, fighting for an end to all forms of gender discrimination, and ensuring that women play full and equal roles at all levels in society. In spite of the many efforts at ensuring that women are empowered and that they have equality of opportunity, Nigerian women still live in dire poverty. They suffer many forms of discrimination. They are mostly excluded from key decision-making positions. They lack access to water, shelter, and adequate nutrition, and they struggle to access qualitative healthcare services. Nigeria continues to record unacceptably high levels of maternal and infant mortality rates, one of the highest in the world. Right now, there are approximately 15 million children out of school in Nigeria, and 60% of that number our girls. All these issues continue to hinder the progress of Nigerian women due to entrenched patriarchal power, violent conflict and displacement, endemic poverty, lack of political will, and the use of culture, tradition, and religion to render women voiceless and choiceless. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly not all gloom and doom. We do have some good news. One of the issues that we are happy about, especially those of us from the African Women's Movement who worked on the Beijing conference, is that now more than ever, Nigerian women and girls have access to educational opportunities in mostly the southern part of the country. We used to have to make a case for girls to go to school. Now, in many parts of southern Nigeria, the enrollment of girls outnumbers that of boys. So that is something to be proud of. And in a lot of our tertiary institutions, girls are doing well in science, technology, engineering, and medicine. We can also celebrate the fact that we have legal, policy, and constitutional frameworks in place to ensure that women's human rights are guaranteed and protected. I'll speak more about this later. Another thing to be proud of is the notion of women as leaders has been popularized, and it is no longer strange to see women in senior positions in public life. And that is why we must thank The Guardian and Wimbies for acknowledging all the women in the public service in particular today for all their contributions. We can be proud of the fact that we have great role models who we celebrate and we are eternally thankful for. There are so many to mention, but we have recently our dear Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the new MD at the World Trade Organization. Although in typical Nigerian and African fashion, we always want to take a shower without getting wet. So we want to see the next Ngozi, we want to see the next Amina Mohammed, but we don't want to raise the status of women. We don't want to empower women. We also celebrate the fact that now more than ever, there is more willingness to address gender equality and women's rights issues as part of gender mainstream initiatives to aid developmental agendas. I'm sure maybe 10 to 15 years ago, the Guardian newspapers, even though it's being led by a formidable woman, would have had her voice drowned out, even though she owns the paper, if she had said, I want to organize a summit for women, because people do not consider women and girls important enough. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, how do we sustain the few gains that we have made? This is going to be my focus in the brief time I have. How do we move forward to ensure that we have a world in which women feel that they have a sense of belonging and can continue to contribute meaningfully to national development? I'm going to run over 6 key strategies that we need to go away and think about. First of all, we need to advocate for political will. We already have a lot of promises made by our government, by our political leaders. I'm sure the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Tallen, had been able to address us. She would have told us about all the great things that are happening now that the government is trying to put in place to encourage gender equality and women's empowerment. But we have to continue to push for political will to ensure that these promises do not remain at the level of rhetoric. And there are a number of ways in which political will can be demonstrated. It can be demonstrated through clear statements, for example, of our leadership. Clear statements in literal terms or their body language. And what we mean by body language is when they make appointments, that are important to showcase the talent of women. And when they create opportunities to, in all the programs that they run for women to benefit from. Political will is also demonstrated through the deployment of financial, human, and technical resources You cannot say something is important to you and you don't fund it, you don't put resources there. And political will is expressed through the establishment, if need be, the restructuring or reforming of institutions, and promoting institutional cultures that aid the involvement and empowerment of women. Number two, we need to continue to push for legislative and policy frameworks to break barriers. As I mentioned earlier, we have a number of legal and policy frameworks at a national level and at state level, but they cannot afford to continue to remain on paper, one. And then two, there are some processes that are happening right now that we need to be aware of and that we need to engage with. For example, there is the constitutional reform process happening as we speak in the National Assembly. Those of us in the women's movement have been pushing for affirmative action and quotas to bridge the gender gap in leadership. Nigeria has less than 5% of women in the National Assembly. And we call ourselves the giant of Africa. And we have countries like Rwanda with 64% of women in their equivalent of the House of Assembly. This is not good enough. So if we can have a constitutional reform process that acknowledges this and can help level the playing field with affirmative action and quotas, that would be a big plus for Nigerian women. The second process that is underway is the electoral reform bill. Right now, the only way to political power is through engaging with political processes, political parties. And the odds are always stacked against women. This electoral reform bill will hopefully address issues such as campaign financing, such as electoral violence, such as ensuring party democracy, and all those structural and systemic issues that keep women locked out of political processes. And the third process that is underway is the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. We need this Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill to enable us as Nigerian women have equal access to resources such as education, land, technology, and so on, and also for us to have access to political power and decision making. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, particularly the sisters, please note these three processes: the constitutional reform process, the electoral reform bill, and the gender and equal opportunities bill. And please get in touch with whoever you know at the National Assembly and let them know that Nigerian women are watching. The third point I want to make is that for those of us who find ourselves in leadership positions, either we were appointed into these positions, elected, or married into these positions, we have an obligation to ensure that we promote an agenda that raises the status of women. And this agenda should be something that we own as our legacy as women in leadership. The agenda could be a whole range of things, but there are some issues that are important to women all over the world, maybe with a different degree of emphasis, but there are some core issues that are absolutely important to women, and they include, for example, the right to peace and security, the right to economic empowerment and livelihoods, the right to freedom from all forms of sexual and gender-based violence, the right to participation in leadership and decision-making, the right to education and training opportunities, and the right to qualitative health and reproductive rights services. Your interest could be one or more of these issues I have read out. It's absolutely fine. But if you're a woman in leadership, please try and focus on one of these issues and drive an agenda around it that will be your legacy, that people will remember you by, so that we will know we have used our platforms in meaningful ways. We are not powerless. We have platforms, we have agency, and we have voice, no matter how limited it might be. So please let us use what we have. My fourth point is about being politically engaged. Not everyone can be a politician. That's absolutely fine. Not everyone can run for office, but we can all be politically engaged. Support political processes. If you know of a woman, or it could even be a young man or young woman who is interested in political engagement, support that person, mentor that person, provide funding for that person. There are many powerful women in this room. Wimbies has some of the most powerful women we know in the corporate and public sectors, for example. How can you deploy the clout that you have to change the political landscape of this country? So I'd like to challenge you to be politically engaged. My fifth point is around mentoring and intergenerational organizing. That is self-explanatory. We have to continue to replicate ourselves. We have to continue to provide opportunities for young people. And last but not least, let us bring out our wrapper for other women. Many of you are familiar with my metaphor about the wrapper. So I'll ask the question again. Where is your wrapper? Those wrappers symbolize solidarity, sisterhood, compassion, support. Let us continue to bring out our wrappers to support other people, particularly other women. And the way it goes, the way God works is, the more wrappers you bring out for people, the more wrappers will come out for you at a time that you need them. I'm running through all these issues I have raised. It is absolutely important to have men as allies. Now, I'm going to round off by reading a poem that I wrote in commemoration of International Women's Day 2 years ago, 2019. And it can be found in my latest book, Where is Your Wrapper? I have a book of essays that was published towards the end of last year. And the famous essay, Where is Your Wrapper, is in the book. This poem is in the book as well. And it is called We Are Still Here. And I would like to read this in commemoration of International Women's Day and to celebrate all the great women in this room and online who are here today. Please don't look for us. We are not lost. We have not all been stolen away. We are still here. Even when they came for so many of us and shoved us into the deep belly of the devil, there are still enough of us left. We are still here. Our mothers and fathers wail and gnash their teeth, hoping, praying, fasting, beseeching for our return. We are still here. We are still here in the eyes of little Temi, whose innocence was bloodied by the hands of her favorite uncle. We are here in the pain of the once vibrant Jenny, who has become a shadow of herself because some boys wanted to teach her a lesson. We exist in the fear of the widow Ijeoma, who has been left with 4 mouths to feed, with no money, a temporary roof, and vultures circling her home. We can be found in the sheer agony of poor Simon, clinging to his wife Stella as she dies trying to bring their child into the world. We are still here. One day every year we are remembered. There are a lot of speeches, rallies, and marches. We sing and dance and clap, and our big men and women come out to tell us a lot of nice things. Then we all go away till the next year comes. We are still here, waiting for the day when the pain will stop, when we will not have to see the desperate hunger in the eyes of our children. We never want to see the day when the thought will cross our minds to sell 1 child so we can feed 5. We are still here in the bodies, minds, and spirits of all the millions who come together one day every year. We will always be here. We will no longer be silent when they steal us away day and night. We will no longer speak in whispers. We know there are enough of us to make a difference with solidarity, perseverance, courage, and determination. We will make sure that everyone knows we are still here. My name is Bisi Fayemi, and I challenge all forms of discrimination against women. Thank you, and God bless.
Your Excellency, I crave your indulgence to please kindly wait for a moment. In a moment, I would like to invite to come to join her two distinguished persons here with us, and that is Lady Medin Alexibu to please come up, as well as Mrs. Ifenyuwa Igodalo to please also come up, Chair of the Board of Trustees, ma'am. They will be presenting a gift. On behalf of the Guardian, while we are very much having that moment, I want to say a big thank you to Guardian to this particular event. Certainly, definitely recognize the editor-in-chief of the Guardian, Mr. Martins Oloja. Please can you put our hands together for him? In that same spirit, we would like to recognize the presence of Her Excellency Hajia Aisha Atiku Abagudu, the wife of Kebbi State Governor and founder of Mapai Foundation. You're welcome, ma'am. This is a gift presentation to Her Excellency Erelu Bisi Fayemi for doing a wonderful job for us. Please can we put our hands together for her? In the meantime, I would like to invite the moderator of the panel, and that is in the person of Maokpe Ogun Yusuf, to please come forth as you are going to be taking charge of this session. Thank you very much. Congratulations. I think there is a pack for you, ma. There's a second pack. Just for proper photo op, ma. Okay. Thank you very much. Mrs. Maokpe Ogun Yusuf is going to be coming up right now to moderate this session. Why, in the same vein, I will ask Her Excellency to please sit behind. You have to join them on the panel, ma. Thank you very much, ma. So to also join them on the panel, I would like to first and foremost say a big thank you to our keynote presenter. Maokpe, are you okay for her to sit here or wherever she, okay? All right. To join them on the panel, first and foremost, for your information, Maokpe certainly is a host on Channels Television. We'd like to invite the chairman, First Bank of Nigeria Limited, Mrs. Ibuku Awoshika, to please come forth and join them on the podium. They are going to be having this panel session. And the director, Enterprise Development Center, Pan-Atlantic University, is certainly joining us as well on the panel. Mr. Peter Bankole, to please come up. We're made to understand that Ms. Comfort Lante, the United Nations country rep for Nigeria and ECOWAS, is joining us via the Zoom or digital platform. And so at this point in time, I'm going to be handing over this session for the next 1 hour more or less to Mrs. Maokpe Ogun Yusuf. Please, DJ, make sure the sounds for the microphones are all up for all of the panelists. Thank you very much. Over to you, Maokpe.
Oh, no. Thank you so much, Stephen. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Oh my God, it's after when I'm not a policewoman or a security agent, they always greet good morning. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Well, it still feels like morning. Lagos is so kind in its weather today. It's really lovely today. And I think this is a different kind of Owambe. Maybe we should be doing this type of thing more often. I don't know. Madam Ibra, would you agree? Thank you so much. It gives me great honor to be able to do this. I mean, look at the panel that I have with me this morning. It's amazing. Powerful women, women whom I look up to. And I don't say this meanly. I mean every word of it. When I was asked to do this by my vice chairman, Mrs. Shola Momo, I jumped at it, put it that way. She had asked me very politely. She told me, she said, Malkwe, I know you just had a baby, and I don't know if you'll be able to make this trip, but I'll be happy if you can. Check it out and let me know. And I said, Mom, I'm more than happy. The theme for this year, I understand the theme is something about leadership, but what has stuck out for everybody is the hashtag, which is Choose to Challenge. I choose to challenge the fact that because I just had a baby, I can't travel to do this. And here I am, you know, very happily doing this. I'm going to start this panel. I'm sure that you have, you've read the profile of the women I have on this panel. It's right on the book, right in the program. So if you haven't, please take a moment to go through it. It will certainly inspire you. I'm going to start this panel with a little song, which I learned to play on a recorder in primary school. It goes like this. It's a very simple, short song. Wake, my girls, think of tomorrow, learn, be wise. I don't know if anyone knows that song. I'm going to sing it again. Wake, my girls, think of tomorrow, learn, be wise. Life of women and of mothers, show we have to rise and study. Wake, my girls, think of tomorrow, learn, be wise. That song came to me this morning when I thought about anchoring this panel. I must confess to you, I do not always have the right questions. Yes, I have earned my reputation for asking questions, and oftentimes asking pretty difficult questions. They're not born from a place of wanting to put people on the spot, no. It's from a place of wanting to have a frank conversation, a conversation that is real, a conversation that you can relate with. And I'm hoping that in the conversation we're going to be having this morning, you will be able to hold on to something tangible. And thankfully, if I'm not able to ask your question from my conversation with people on the panel this morning, I'm hoping, well, there is the opportunity for you, and that includes those at home. I'm hoping that somebody will be looking at the chat segment on the Zoom conversation and collating questions and letting us drink from the well of those who are here on this panel. It does make me very happy to be here. So, Mom, I'm going to start with you, Mrs. Ibukwanwoshika. This is Women in Business. It's a Women in Business conference. And I know that, I mean, looking at the theme of this year, it's about advancing post-COVID. Moving forward post-COVID, what is it going to be like for women? I'm sure that the period of COVID was a time when we all had good time to reflect, to examine just how much progress we had made before COVID, what this is all about, if it has been worth it so far, and what will most likely happen after COVID. Reading your profile, something stood out for me, which was this. It says here that as a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative, Aspen Global Leadership Network, Institute of Directors, and Society for Corporate Governance, you hope through your project to use your opportunity in life to further the greatness of our dear country by raising entrepreneurs to create jobs for the large unemployed youthful population. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics released unemployment figures a few days ago. 33% is where we are at of this youth bulge. It's a big problem. In your experience and in your reflections, what would you say will be the biggest challenge that will confront? I want you to speak specifically to women. What do you see as the biggest challenge confronting them in a post-COVID world, entrepreneurially speaking?
Thank you very much, Nofe, and a big thank you to Winbase and to The Guardian for the privilege to be part of this panel. And we've been totally fired up by my sister and my friend, the First Lady of Ekiti, in her speech. She's been like this forever. You know, she's always fought for the issues and spoken about the issues, so it's not just starting now. And your question specifically, you know, it's easy to get consumed by the challenges of COVID, but to miss the point that in some ways it has actually worked for women, and I'll explain. There are many natural skills that women have that either were classified or considered as soft skills. And the COVID era has shown the entire world that those skills that were downgraded in assessment over time have become key leadership skills that have made the difference in governance and in leadership management of organizations and nations within this period. Which is why you would notice that some of the most successful countries in managing COVID have been female-led countries. Now, when you take that back to, I'll break it into the workplace and into enterprise. When you take it back into the workplace, you would see that some of the things that women have been arguing for over time, like the flexibility to be able to work from home and to work even when they're either pregnant or they've just had children, and all of those things that slow down the career of women. In the last 1 year, every organization, including this event, has had to learn how to engage technology in order to deliver services and value. And the heavens have not fallen. So, what does that tell us? That the things that women are asking for are not unreasonable in facilitating an environment where they can successfully combine the multifaceted parts of their life. They can be successful in pursuing their career or their business, still be mothers and wives running their homes using all the tools that are available. So if we now go specifically to business women, you would find that in the areas where women have been challenged the most is in issues where a lot of capital, you know, most women play in micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. There are not enough female businesses, especially in Nigeria, that fall into the big category. And if you have your businesses shut down for long periods of time, a lot of businesses consumed capital, lost business opportunity. A lot of women are not major players in engaging with technology and using technology as a tool to drive their business, which meant that when a lot of other people could use e-platforms and e-commerce to continue to do business within the period of the pandemic, a lot of women were cut off. Now, those are simple problems that we can solve, because if we engage in aggressively training and empowering women in their clusters or in their groups, depending on their industries, to teach them how to use technology to serve them collectively, we will achieve a lot of milestones. The federal government has taken some major steps. I have the privilege of working, there's a sustainability STECO, executing government's fund to support businesses post-COVID. I'm vice chair working with the Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment. And under the 75 billion naira fund, 45% of that money is meant to go to women. And the good part of it is that a lot of women have applied, not enough yet. So information is another thing. Two, we need to make women more aware are bolder at engaging with resources that are made available to them and ensuring that they're able to get it. Also, building businesses that have details and information that makes them qualified to be able to access all of those kind of grants and funds that are available in order to support them. So if we can solve digital technology engagement for women, if we can help them to engage with alternate markets, e-commerce and all of that, so even though they're doing businesses from home or their businesses are small, they can operate in larger spaces because they have the opportunity to engage. If we can teach women better how to engage with opportunities that are available to them, to seek the grants that are available, but also to learn how to find the right financing to support their business, then we will improve the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You know, 2 years ago, if I had listened to you talk about grants, I'm sure it would have been conversation over my head because I didn't know I didn't even know how available those things were. And that's why sometimes you have to have the right friends. Only recently, and they don't have to be physical friends. They could be friends you meet on social media. I found out that social media is a veritable tool. And it would seem that so far, what you see instead of a challenge is actually an opportunity for women. And that's how you've been able to shape this. But let me quickly, move to Mr. Bankole right now. You are in the practical side of education. I was looking through your profile. I think when we're speaking upstairs, that came through. He pioneered the Enterprise Development Center of the Pan-Atlantic University. So, and right now he says his new interest is providing e-support for SMEs. So, I don't know if you knew about the opportunity which she, says is available now for women. I don't know if that's something you know. But you have related mostly with SMEs, and I'm sure a lot of them are women-based or women-headed. What would you say has been the thing that has stood out for you and differentiate SMEs headed by women as opposed to that run by men, and don't let me complicate the question. Let's answer that one first. What would you say has stood out for you? Is there a major difference between that run by women and that run by men?
Thank you very much, and let me start also by saying thank you to The Guardian and indeed Wimbies for making me the only man standing here on this stage. Indeed, I am used to this. Several years ago, I worked with Goldman Sachs, 10,000 women. I come from a family where I'm the only son, and I have 4 sisters. And of course, even in my own family, I have just one son and then the other 2 are ladies. So I'm quite comfortable with the women, okay? Now, as far as my center is concerned, I would say about 2 out of every 3 that come through our doors are women. And so we deliberately and strategically provided for them. Even to the point where we have a creche in my institution for nursing mothers to be able to still not be excluded from engaging in learning. Now, let me come now to your question. It's a very tricky question, but I will say it's slightly different. You know, for men, I try to compare them to be like bulldozers. They see a problem, they can go in straight and they will find a way somehow. But for women, they need to dimension things. They learn, they understand, and because of that, they are probably a lot more grounded to be able to deal with longer term issues. And that's the way we are seeing it. But more importantly, they are able to connect with each other and solve bigger problems when those things happen. During the pandemic, for instance, we saw a lot of women supporting other women. That's very deep. And so it's like what you said, when you say sisters, I've heard of these things a lot. Sisters got to support sisters. And when we were doing You Win for Women, It was a federal government program that provided up to 10 million in grants. And there were 12 women that started on the first round. Out of these 12 women, 11 of them got the grant, one did not. By the next year, all the 11 of them became the teacher to this one. And they said, it is either you get this grant or you get this grant. And eventually she got that grant. So in terms of support, women tend to support a lot. Then you see the network that happens. So if I see event managers that are female, they will call upon caterers that are female. They will call upon cocktail persons that are female. So that network or that sisterhood, you see a lot of that happening. But the one that excites me most is that they begin to go from the work they do and move up the value chain. And I have many examples, but I'll use just one, which I think happened even in this same very hall 2 years ago, before she went online. That is Femi Olayebi of the Lagos Leather Fair. And she started as a very good handbag lady. She produces very good handbag. However, she did not stop at that. She said, there is a problem across the value chain. What can I do? And then she moved gradually from there to begin to look at other players within the industry, look at not just the players, but also people that are in policy. Today, she ran, and during the COVID, she actually she moved online with her Lagos Leather Fair. They are creating value chain and making value chain to work. So they are not selfish only to themselves, but they begin to expand beyond. And that's why I said the popular saying that when you educate a woman, you actually educate a nation. They go beyond self to be able to lift others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bankole. I do not know, I will really hate to make a dichotomy between, women in business and women in other life, because oftentimes it's the same woman. There are just many aspects to us. There's the woman in business, there's the woman in career, there's the woman at home. It's the same woman. However, that privilege doesn't just seem to extend to everybody. Some people are more vulnerable than others. Listening to your speech, Erelubisi Fayemi, you could tell that it was from the heart. It was heartfelt. And when you did say that you were weary and you had earned the right to be weary, a lot of people couldn't agree less. However, you also did encourage yourself because you knew that there was work to be done and that you could only be tired because you speak from a position of privilege and that there are so many people that still needed to be lifted up. I must say that this panel also has a panelist online, Ms. Comfort Lamptey, who heads the United Nations Women, is also with us online. She's in Maiduguri, from what I understand. And I think nowhere else would we find a mass of more vulnerable women than in a place like Maiduguri, where we have seen violence and conflict and the havoc that it can wreak on a population if something is not nipped in the bud. How would you say, I do not know if you agree with Mrs. Awushika, that COVID provided an opportunity, because we also saw another side that COVID also, where things went wrong with COVID, went wrong with women having to live at home with their abusers. And that's a big issue that you have been on in Ekiti State. When I saw your husband just last week, the governor of Ekiti State, I had to tell him, and I told you behind the scenes already, that I was going to say 3 goza to you, because your work comes through. And I mean this in every way. When you look at Ekiti State and the policies that they have been able to come up with, I said, I'm sure that his Attorney General and his wife were holding me in the neck like this to ensure that those policies come through for women. And Ms. Okadonli is here. She used to work with NAPTIP. Safe spaces for women. Some of the conversations around gender-based violence. So I do not know if you saw the opportunities that Mr. Woshika saw. Yes, it's a business, but what has been your experience in trying to bring safety to the more vulnerable amongst the women population?
Thank you very much, Mope, and my very warm regards to my other panelists, my dear sister Ibukun. What she left out was that the two of us were on the debate team together at the same time at Methodist Girls High School. And Mr. Bankole. Now, to answer your question, I fully agree with what my sister Ibukun said. COVID-19 has allowed us to have conversations around certain things which hitherto had been either swept under the carpet, or the voices that were trying to talk about those issues were being muffled. Before we went into the COVID lockdowns, many women's rights organizations in the country had been drawing attention to the large numbers of women and girls who were vulnerable to various forms of violence. And during the COVID lockdowns, we then saw how women who would normally have had some respite from their abusers, or young girls in the neighborhood who would usually go to school, were now trapped in their homes and in their communities with their abusers and predators. And the cases of all forms of gender-based violence started going up exponentially. Now, some of us then seized that opportunity to raise a question for the country. And the question we asked was, is this who we are? Do we want to be a country where no woman or girl feels safe at home or on the streets? Do we want violence to continue to be part of our culture as a country? If the answer is no, then we all need to rise up and do something. And so for us in Ekiti State, for example, where we have always addressed these issues, as I said in my speech, Ekiti State is one place where the leadership of the state knows that there is no way you can achieve any development goal without the full engagement and involvement of women. And that is one of the reasons why Nigeria did not achieve any of the original Millennium Development Goals. And the current Sustainable Development Goals, if care is not taken, with all the drawbacks we are seeing in all the different areas that should matter, in education, in health, in political participation, in women's access to basic resources and so on, we might not meet the SDGs in 2030 either. And so coming back to the issue of COVID-19 and the opportunity it presented to address issues around gender-based violence, I spoke to a couple of my sisters who are also First Ladies about what we could do about what was going on. We were already working on these issues anyway as individual First Ladies, but we felt using the platforms that we have, there should be more that we can do. And that is how we started the working group, Nigerian Governors' Wives Against Gender-Based Violence. And the first thing we did was to write a memo to our husbands at the Nigerian Governors Forum, asking that they declare a state of emergency against all forms of gender-based violence. And our husbands, thankfully, they listened to us, and they did declare that state of emergency on the 10th of June 2020. Now, going back to my speech where I was talking about indicators of political will, the governors promised when they declared that state of emergency that they'll go back to their state and ensure that relevant legislation on gender-based violence is passed, or where they already have legislation, they will do whatever they can to ensure that the legislations are fully implemented. And as our group, Governors' Wives Against GBV, we have been following very closely. So I'm pleased to report that as of June 2020, only 13 states in Nigeria had domesticated the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. As of now, we have 21 states across the country. Now, when you want to address issues around gender-based violence, there are a couple of things that you need to take into consideration. First of all, the issue of access to justice for survivors of GBV. And so what we are working on now is ensuring that there's some kind of uniformity. We have different contexts across the states in the country, but we need to ensure that there's some kind of uniformity in ensuring that every victim of GBV has access to justice through the engagement of a range of actors who need to play their role. The police, the Attorney General, every person is supposed to be involved in that process. Then the issue of treatment, care, and protection of GBV survivors. We need to have an approach that is victim-focused, that can then turn victims of GBV into survivors. And we can't do that if we don't have resources to address it. That's why we need sexual assault referral centers in all our states. All the states in this country need to have at least one sexual assault referral center, known as SACS for short. We need to have shelters where we can keep women in distress. And so part of the pressure that women's rights organizations and ourselves as first ladies are putting on our husbands is ensuring that we have these resources in place. And then we also need a lot of education and reorientation. Wherever it is, it can be addressed, whether it is in schools, whether it is in families, whether it is through the media. We need to have a reorientation around what it means to ensure we have safety and security for women in our communities. And then, of course, we need community ownership. And by community ownership, I mean everyone having a stake in this conversation. Every parent, every traditional ruler, every religious leader, every neighbor. And then, last but not least, we also need, in every state of the country, to have what we call a coordinating mechanism to ensure that any GBV law, any other law for that matter, that safeguards the rights of women and girls is fully implemented, and that it is done in a coordinated manner with the different stakeholders and with civil society. This COVID-19 conversation has provided us with an opportunity to push these issues to the fore. And I just hope it does not drop off the agenda, because even when COVID goes, the issues around GBV and the inequalities that women face are still going to remain.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And I'm sure that something is, standing out for you. The fact that opportunities seems to be, a theme that has come up from their presentations. Ms. Comfort Lamptey, I don't know if you can hear us online now. Can we see her face if she's with us? Oh, fantastic, I can hear her now. Would you like to share with us, in engaging policy makers, in engaging those who need to come up with policies to ensure that the SDGs, especially with regards to women, maternal and child mortality, women in leadership, and those indices are achieved. In engaging with them, how would you say that we're actually putting our money where our mouth is when we move from the conversation room to the room where we should actually be practicing these policies? If you're not seeing any commensurate effort in trying to make things happen, what would you say is responsible for the gap?
Thank you very much, Maupa, and let me also just thank the distinguished panelists. It's been great listening and learning from you all, and also the leadership of Wimbis and the Guardian for this. As we Erelu excellently laid it out, that we do have an opportunity through an ongoing constitutional reform process to actually entrench affirmative action principles in the Constitution, as indeed we have through the electoral reform and the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. We do know that we also so there are still areas where we need to ensure that there's legislation in place. But when we do have the legislation, we also need to put money behind it to bring them to life.
Very much, Ms. Lamptey. Something you said now just stood out for me. Let's quickly look again at this theme, and I think I want to talk about women in leadership. I have sitting next to me a woman, of course, I mean, she's a leader in the boardroom, not just in the boardroom, but she's a leader there. We're looking at achieving an equal future. An equal future. And I think we should underline that in a post-COVID world. When you look at that, sitting in a boardroom, what sort of future? Because Erelu said something that stood out for me. She said something about enrollment of girls is now getting more than that of boys. It's becoming a problem. I mean, she said it's a good thing. In our experience, it's a good thing to celebrate. But in the southeast, yes, which I'm sure you will touch on. In the southeast of Nigeria, it's a problem they had to work in. They found out that more girls were going to school than boys. Entrepreneurially speaking, and sitting in your position, when we talk about an equal future, what sort of future would we say is equal?
Well, the way I understand it, an equal future, and I'm a mother of boys. I only have boys. I have 3 boys. So I do want a future that works for my sons as well as works for every female child that is on the face of the earth. And an equal future for me is a future that presents the opportunity for every child, male or female, to get the kind of education that they deserve and that they desire, to pursue every opportunity that is available to the best of their ability, to have the opportunity for leadership and governance at any level, in any field of their interest, and to not ever have to apologize for being the best of themselves. That, for me, will represent an equal opportunity that will best serve the interest of every nation that seeks to do that. I mean, my case is simply based on, look at Nigeria. If you get our population statistics, we're 50 point something for men, we're about 49.2 for women. statistically, that's a 50-50 position. If you have 50% men, 50% women, and you're a foolish businessman, because only a foolish business person will decide that I will work 50% of my asset maximally, and then I will underutilize 50% of my asset in a way that the weight of carrying the 100% is placed on the 50% of men, and you kill the men trying to satisfy the needs of everybody, but you also lose the value and the talents. Okay, everybody is happy. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala is DG, World Trade Organization. But how did she get there? Because she had a father that had wisdom and understanding to know that my girls are just as smart as my boys. Let me empower her with a good education. She had a great education. She's married. She has children. Obviously, it means that she married a guy who himself is successful in his career as a specialist cardiologist or a medical person, and who was not afraid in any sense of the fact that he is married to a smart woman who had the capacity to apply herself across multiple levels until she got to a place where she's the first of the first of the first, and every man wants to stay in queue to shake her hands and celebrate her, and Nigerians are proud of her. But she's a woman, and the only reason she's there is because she has more than enough capacity to do the job. Her father invested in a good education. She had married a man who had the right mindset to encourage and to support, and everything else along the line worked to make her that. Now, every other girl deserves to have that kind of root so that she has a chance to show what she can do to the world. I give you a classic example. I run a missionary organization, and one of the fields that gives me the greatest joy in terms of what we do is the Koma Hills in Adamawa. It cuts across a number of states in the north. When we started working with those fields, the communities were still naked and using leaves to cover around their private area. At a point, one of the projects we did was to bring some of the children from those communities, as the missionaries worked with them, out of the field into the southwest, and to place them with families in the southwest in order for them to have normal education and pursue it to the highest level. What fascinates me the most is the number of graduates we have produced amongst those children, and interestingly enough, almost 70% of them are in sciences. Extremely smart, successful children who are in biomedicals, biology, chemistry, physics. They're science-based. These were kids that we brought out of communities that the parents had never been to school and were still generally walking around naked, and were still working with them at the time we brought out the children. Now, those are talents that would forever have been lost. Nobody would have known that these were extremely smart kids that had the capacity to be anything that they had a chance to. That is the case of women. It's the case of every single girl that doesn't get the chance to have the education, to express herself, to empower herself, to pursue and to seek to do what it is that she can't do. And worse still for the country is we don't know. Maybe the child who will solve the problem of this pandemic and multiple other pandemics that they say will come is left in one community somewhere within the borders of our country that we have not allowed to have an education, that we have left at the will of some abuser or some accuser in some way, and we lose all the value that she and everyone like her represents. So what's a world with equal opportunity that every single child, male or female, that no father has to choose to pay the school fees of a boy over a girl, that the father or the system or the country provides an environment that allows every single child to at least have a basic education and then find her way from there. Thank you.
Are those conversations making their way or becoming more important even in boardrooms?
I think I can speak for First Bank, and I think for an institution that is 127 years old, when we say that we're entrenched were woven into the fabric of the society is because when you've lasted that long within a community, you have been at the center of helping to build nation and to build communities within it. And for us, it is really important in many different ways to engage with communities in a way that we can create development in those communities. And there's wisdom in it. If you help to build communities, you educate the children, they become economically empowered, we benefit. How do we grow our future customers if we do not help to build next generations in any way that we can? Which is why we're actively engaged with helping to build businesses. But you're also, in all of this COVID period, one of the critical things we did, apart from being a major contributor to COVID, was to support states in continuing the education of children over the lockdown period. There were states where we gave tablets in order to support them, but more than that, we had online education platforms that we funded in the millions. Millions of children had the right to be able to continue their education using any form, their mobile phone, the TVs in their homes, and all of that, because we know that education is key. Once you have an educated mind, it affects our politics. How can a politician sell the right kind of ideas to the people, and people are not following stomach infrastructure? If you have a population that can think and can see through the foolishness of some of the things that some politicians will say, then you know that when the right thinking candidates come up and they make a reasonable case, an educated, enlightened mind can respond to it, can see through the cracks, and then we can have a better democracy. So education is at the center of many things. An entrepreneur needs some level of education, and you need entrepreneurs in order to create jobs. Without raising entrepreneurs, you cannot create jobs, because government can only offer so many jobs. You need to raise millions of entrepreneurs, all employing people. They need education to think. The world is driven by technology now. If you're not educated, how do you fully engage with technology?
So, what I really want to know, ma'am, is how that conversation is being interpreted in boardrooms.
For us,
yes,
it's really about how do we as responsible institutions apply our platforms and our resources in a reasonable manner to use to engage in situations that will help to develop solutions for that which we're talking about.
And that will be whether or not they were men or women, right? Or is there an affirmative action one way or another for women specifically?
I think, without a doubt, the disadvantage is towards the women, which means that there's a higher investment in helping women. You know, if you look around all the signs, you would see that one of the products from First Bank as a major supporter of this event is First Gem. First Gem is a gender-specific project, which we executed at the bank, or which is ongoing, to help women build personal wealth and to understand how money works. And to understand, in understanding how money works, to know how to use money for economic development, for self, for family. When a woman is economically empowered, if she's widowed, her children will not suffer educationally because she has the capacity to continue to support her children. Most women are community builders. If you empower a woman, you build a town, because they will use their influence to make their society better. So in helping women with specific programs, that's part of what we're doing.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Welcome. Eredu, I'm going to come to you now. Sorry, Mr. Bankole, I'm going to come to you too, but I want you to quickly address the second part of that particular issue which you raised about the fact that more girls are now being enrolled, and whether or not it could be a problem, as it already is. I mean, it's already seen as a problem. But what's the second part you're going to raise to that particular issue?
Thank you, Mope. The second part I was going to raise was, while on the one hand, we have a record number of girls in school in Nigeria, in the southern part of Nigeria. It's a really big shame that in the northern part of Nigeria, with all the gains that were made with the education of the girl child, because of insecurity in the region, opportunities for the education of girls are shrinking by the day. We're talking about places where we thought we could celebrate the large numbers of girls we have in school and who are doing well. We are getting our girls into school, but we are having difficulties keeping our girls in school. From our experience, we've found out that our girls are preyed on, particularly those in communities where there is a lot of poverty, where there is not as much attention paid to the fact that you need to provide safety and security for girls. Girls are preyed upon right from the time they step out of their homes, whether it is the Okada rider who takes them to school, or the gateman who is responsible for providing security on the school premises, the male teachers who invite them to their homes to come and fetch water for them, come and cook for them, or stay behind after class, or their male classmates who take them into, go and corner them when the girls go into the bushes to use, to use the toilets because there are no toilets available or the toilet facilities are not usable. And so we find out that we have a large number of girls who fall pregnant while they're in school. And if you happen to be from a poor family, you don't have a support system, and you get pregnant, your life as you know it comes to an end. And if it was a classmate, a male classmate who was responsible, his life continues. And he goes on to become an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, and then the girl concerned ends up frying plantain and selling oranges at the roadside. Now, in the process of hawking bread and fruit and so on, she's likely to continue to get pregnant. The child that she gives birth to, if it's a boy, will end up in the garage as an area boy. The girl she gives birth to will also end up with a tray on her head and end up in the room of a so-called customer, and then a cycle of, what I call a cycle of generational poverty continues. We need to break that cycle, and we can't continue to wait. So every girl needs to be in school. Every child needs to be in school, but every girl needs to be in school, and we need to do whatever we can through looking at our education system, the role of parents, the role of the government. As I said earlier, the issue of community ownership. We all have a stake in this to ensure that education is seamless for the next generation. And as my sister Mrs. Awoshika has said, that there are no inhibitions placed on what it is girls can accomplish vis-a-vis that of boys. And I would like to come to something that Dr. Bankole said earlier about the different skills or competencies that male leaders have and women leaders have. A lot, is usually said and written about this. I would like to throw something out there for us to remember when we are talking about gender roles. Gender roles are learned. No man leaves his mother's womb knowing how to lead, knowing how to wield a cutlass to be a good farmer, or how to, be a good engineer. And no woman leaves her mother's womb knowing how to cook. We don't leave our mother's womb with spoons in our hands. We learn. We learn these skills. And so if we can learn these skills and competencies, then we can unlearn the things that we are not supposed to be doing. For example, certain expressions of masculinity. You have to behave in a certain way, speak in a certain way, or act in a certain way if you'll be taken seriously as a leader because you are a man. But women, because we have learned that you have to negotiate. If you have a number of children, you have to know how to keep peace with the children. If you're a married woman, you have to know how to negotiate with your in-laws and so on. So we learn these skills, but our skills are undervalued or devalued because we happen to be women. So all skills are important. All skills are learned by both men and women. And we cannot continue to have democratic processes in our country which undermine the roles that women can play. We come to meetings like this and we say all the right things, and we throw out things that people want to hear. But when it comes to a practical demonstration, when it comes to how we can measure how many women are on your board, for example, I'm not asking Mrs. Awoshika that. I know it's something that she worries about, but people like us, can ask the question, how many women do you have on your board? What is the strategy for getting more women into your board? Dr. Bankole, how many women are in senior faculty positions in your institution? And if the answer is no, what is your plan? What is your strategy? I want to see, for example, all public institutions in Nigeria need to go and get a copy of the National Gender Policy. Nigeria has had a national gender policy since 2005. It was revised in 2015. That gender policy is supposed to be a roadmap, both for institutions and state governments, to address gender equality issues. Then what is your own roadmap, for example, for the state of emergency? It doesn't just apply to state governments, it applies to institutions as well, as the corporate sector, as the academic sector, the legislators, judiciary. How do you address issues of gender-based violence, which are systemic barriers that prevent women from playing their full role in all aspects of public life in our country?
Thank you very much, ma'am. But just quickly, because you've talked about the second part of the issue which you raised. However, you've talked about the challenges that would even happen after the girls have been enrolled in school. But do you worry, in terms of equality, that we could now begin to have another problem where we do not have sufficient male enrollment, or we now begin to create an issue where people now say, oh no, there is an intimidation agenda here. The women are getting more than the men. I don't know, do you want to quickly speak to that before Mr. Bankole does?
Well, as Mrs. Aoshika has said to us, I have a son, and I have no interest in creating a world in which my son will feel that is irrelevant. I want to contest patriarchy. I want to contest all forms of patriarchal oppression. I have no interest, however, in dismantling a patriarchy to replace it with a matriarchy. What we are saying is we have to have equality of opportunity, equality of access, equality of voice and agency for everyone. Man, woman, boy, girl.
Okay. You wanted to quickly speak to something because, while we were behind the scenes, Mr. Bankole did let me know that a lot of the programs which they have in your school are actually targeted towards women. I don't know whether you see that as a problem.
Okay, the one I actually wanted to respond to is the one at the university level. Last year, when we had the graduation, I was amazed because that's not the first time I have seen it. I've even seen it at secondary school level, and I am sure one or two people have already commented on that. I went to be a guest speaker at Corona, and all the prizes, let me say 70–80% went to the girls. Secondly, last year when we did our graduation, at least 80% of those that graduated with first class were girls. And not only that, I specifically took out the accounting department. 4 of the girls, of course, they came out with first class. Not only did they graduate, they became chartered before they graduated. So for me, there is no. It's interesting and it is good. But if we are not careful, they are still coming back to the world that the boys still have some tools in their hands. And if we don't create that same equal, as we are challenging and we are helping to build the girl's child, we must also be mindful of the boy child so that we can have an equal system, which I think is what Nigeria deserves. But I'll come back to my own question.
I'm dying to jump into the middle of this. And the reason I am is girls have always been smart at school. So that's never been the problem. Girls have always matched and competed with the boys at school. At entry level, in all organizations, ask for statistics across all major companies. The boys and the girls can compete effectively through the employment process to get into the organization. At entry level, you can have 50-50 if you want. By the time you start getting to middle management and you start going upwards, then they start disappearing. Because there's a systemic process. There is a systemic process within organizations and society. Cultural, either the husbands that tell their girls the work is getting too much, I want you to resign, or the mother-in-law or the father-in-law that decides that your wife is too busy, she shouldn't be running around, you need to pull her back, or just boys club and some of the factors at work that makes it difficult for that smart girl that graduated first class ahead of her male peers at school to compete effectively to get right to the top in a competitive space. So we have structural issues that we need to deal with across organizations. One of the things we do is the natural strengths of women are underplayed in evaluation in organizations. They are typically called soft skills. What COVID has done, which is part of why I said COVID has worked for women, it has brought out the fact that those skills are more strategic leadership skills, and they better serve organizations and nations in the time of crisis. And women generally do not control narratives. What we need to start learning to do is how to own the narrative. We should not allow the skills that women are stronger at to be defined as the lower rated skills because of their classification. Women must also learn how to play to win. So we have different sets of education we need to teach the women. Technically, the women are competitive. But in terms of the other kinds of skills that makes you able to succeed in the space, there is a lot that needs to be done, and we must pay attention to that so that we can build on those 80%, 50%, 60%, 70% first class girls, make them first class all the way, and not allow life to take out from them the energy to succeed. Thank you.
Mrs. Awoshika, you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, when I asked you that question about boardrooms and how the conversations were being shaped differently as a result of COVID, I mean, that was what I was looking to get. Maybe I wasn't asking it right. I'm so sorry about that, because you see, the instance I made about being able to make it down here, choosing to challenge, it might be something really very simple and small. It would seem almost insignificant as to whether or not it was my colleague in Lagos who came here, or whether it was me who flew down from Abuja to be able to make it here. But it was extremely important, and my boss understood, because she's a woman and she's put herself in my shoes. I just had a baby. I would need to look after her. The baby's yet to be weaned, and I would need to fly down here, perhaps with my baby. I had to tell her, Mom, I would also need a nanny to come along. And she said, of course, approved. If she wasn't able to provide that support, if it really meant a lot to me to be here, I most likely will have to pay for it. My husband will have to agree with me that it is okay for me to come down. So those little things are very important.
They're not little, okay? They are not. And it's because we allow them to be defined as such. And for a long time, we have placed emphasis on some of the wrong things, and we have allowed the major things to be minimized in a way that women are disadvantaged. So facing the reality of those issues, taking them on, resetting the infrastructure of the work environment in a way that the opportunity works for both, male and female. Like she said, male and female. I have 3 sons. I want them to compete at the highest level. But I want the girls they bring home to me as my daughters to be able to compete as well and be the smartest and the most successful girls they can be to the best of their own ability. That's the world I'm looking for.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. And let me just say again that we're expecting questions. I hope that you're writing the questions on the chat. We'll take as many as we can. If they're available now, it would be very helpful if we can have, what has been collated. And if you have questions here, it would be very helpful if you can indicate already to, I can say Ms. Okadonli. This one is not going to be easy. Let me quickly take one more from Ms. Lamte, who is online. Ma'am, are you still there? Ms. Lamte, are you still with us, or have we lost you? Great. Oh, fantastic. What role would you see, if any, in your experience has been in the role that you occupy, informs that difference in terms of what is happening to enrollment of girls up north? What role do you see for culture and religion? Because we cannot rule that out. We are heavily cultural people. We are heavily religious people. And how are those barriers? Because these conversations have been ongoing. They have happened over and over again. How are those barriers being surmounted in such a way that this disparity isn't as wide?
Thank you, Mope. I think I missed if I heard the last part. I think it was quite interesting listening to the discussion about whether or not we're going to create a world where more girls are overtaking boys, not just in education, but also opportunities. And I think we're far from that kind of world yet. I mean, certainly, even if you look at the situation, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa, yes. Even if at the entry level, at the primary level, you see that the opportunities for boys and girls, or the enrollment rates, are the same. As you move higher up the education ladder itself, more girls drop out for many of the reasons that have been elaborated as well. And also because of issues of culture and gender roles that are ascribed to girls. As girls grow up in their teenage years, they're spending more time supporting their mothers, oftentimes in the kitchen, rather than doing their homeworks and so on. And so you see that issues such as early marriage also come into force. And this is why you do have quite a high number of girls, particularly in the north of the country, who actually drop out of school because parents believe that if they don't stay, if they don't come out, they may not find a husband and so on. So those are some of the barriers that I think we have to overcome. And I think for a long time, and we've been having this conversation with some of the traditional leaders who have a very critical role to play also in this conversation. And I think the language and how we frame it has also sometimes been one of the issues that have been raised as perhaps not seen as respectful enough of cultural practices. So for instance, when we talk about child marriage, that is seen as not being palatable enough, but of course that's what it is, because the definition of a child is anyone under 18. But when we talk about ending child marriage, but rather change the language to say keeping girls in school, or allowing girls to complete at a minimum secondary school level, then that becomes a point at which, you know, leaders, the traditional leaders, are willing to sit down and discuss. So again, sometimes it's around the choice of words. Instead of saying, you know, stop child marriage, let's talk about keeping more girls in school longer. Those speak to strategies that one can actually adopt in terms of how we work around this. But certainly we're seeing more and more some of the traditional leaders that we are working with, the Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, the Nigeria chapter, with whom we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, who are really expressing this commitment, not just to harmful traditional practices like early marriage and so on, but also even the different forms of gender-based violence. And I think we need those allies. So one thing is to have the government policies, another is also to work with the traditional authorities who can help to ensure that at the level of education, we can keep more girls in schools for longer. And we've seen in some of those countries where, you know, things like free education for boys and girls at the secondary level is having an incredible impact in terms of the opportunities for girls to finish education, to cut the level of teenage pregnancies, and so on. And so yes, we're not there yet, but we also have to perhaps invest in understanding why boys are not performing well, so that we can avoid the situation where some countries in the Caribbean have had, where they are actually looking at measures to try to support boys, because in those parts in some countries in the Caribbean as well, you have a crisis where more girls are actually excelling, and so now the government has to look at policies to see how to ensure that boys can be supported to do well and also stay on. But I think even at this stage, whilst we're not there yet, we can still begin to unpack and understand some of those factors, but certainly we have a long way to go in terms of having a situation where we can say that we need policy measures to create a balance, because the imbalance is still existing, and it is against girls for the most part. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lamte. And I picked out there that you're also talking about, the solutions that Mr. Woshika already brought up in terms of owning the narrative, changing the narrative, and choice of words are extremely important. I hope that somebody is helping to collate questions, because I can see in the chat on the Zoom there that people have questions or people have comments. But we're going to start right here in the room. We're moving straight to that part. As I did confess, I do not have all the questions. I might not be asking it right. And you might also have something that you want to share or you want to say, but please, you have to keep it simple and short, please, so that we can take as many. Is somebody going to help us, or what's the format is going to take, Mr. Stephen?
We have the stand just behind chairman there, that they can go and speak into and ask the questions as briefly as possible.
Fantastic.
I think you have one person already in the audience.
In fact, I have 3 people already.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes,
okay.
Please, ma'am. There's a stand right there, so I think we're going to take it one after the other. But please kindly maintain social distancing while we'll stand one after the other, please. Thank you.
Please put on the mic.
All courtesies duly extended. My name is Wahab Alawiyeki. I am the Executive Chairman, Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board. As we all know, education has been under siege since like 2014. There was a global coalition against insecurity in our schools that was put together by world leaders. It was driven by the business leaders. I just want to ask, ma'am, particularly to you, Mrs. Awoshika, do we still have discussion around safe school initiatives that is aimed at addressing insecurity in our school, moving children, pupils from high-risk area to a more secure places in Nigeria? Thank you.
Maokwe, pardon me if I might interject. We should take all of the questions and then we'll respond afterwards.
Good afternoon. I am Dame Junior Kadonli. One of the panelists spoke about women being preyed upon, and as a result, they get pregnant and they drop out of school. What I want to suggest, no girl should be allowed to drop out of school by reason that she's pregnant, because the perpetrator goes ahead and completes the school. So there should be an arrangement where these pregnant girls are seen through until they have their babies and continue school. Because for us to allow these girls to drop out just because they are pregnant is not doing justice to them at all. So we have to change the narratives. Men have been preying on us for a very long time. And that's why they've manipulated women into thinking that we cannot work with each other. And I say that is not true. So we need to start to reorientate and change our mindset, and women must begin to know that we can work very closely with each other. Why can't we have 5 directors in a company, all female? Why must the men want to partner with those women? Because they know how strong women are. So we need to change that mindset and begin to work with each other, encourage each other. Now, coming back to school, schools must be made compulsory, primary and secondary schools, for everybody. That's the only way we can keep children in school. Skill acquisition must be introduced into the primary and secondary school curriculum so that in the event that someone drops out of school, they already have a skill with which they can work with to make their lives better at all times. Then, of course, talking about, okay, let me stop here for now. Thank you.
All right, Malkwe, if you must pardon me.
Thank you very much, Mom.
Let me quickly read this because we are pressed for time. This is from the Zoom platform and it's by Olubumi. How can organizations who work to empower women with digital skills, SheLearnsHere.com, for example, access support from the government, corporate organizations, and foundations to scale their reach and impact? So I imagine any of your panelists can respond to that as the case might be. Do we have more questions? Okay.
Nwosu Antonia Neka from Federal Polytechnic Nekede, the Deputy Rector, Administration. I am particularly worried about gender violence. Our females face a lot of violence. Many of them are raped. What is the role of security? Because when these girls are violated, the matter is sent to police, and they are suffering all over. When we talk about policy, what is the policy? What are the security agents? What are their role towards this child violation? And that is very important to me. As we are here now talking about women, International Women's Day, a lot of our girls are being molested, a lot of them are being violated, and the security agents are not doing anything.
Thank you, ma'am. Next. I think we'll just put a pause with this and then we'll allow the panelists respond and see if there is a need for.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mariam Bide. I'm the National Coordinator of Multiply Foundation. Multiply Foundation belongs to Her Excellency, the Governor, the wife of the Governor of Kebbi State. I want to add to the girl child that dropped out of school. I am a victim. Thank God for Excellency. She has a foundation where there is a literacy center. In the north, Margaret was talking about the traditional and the religious problem that we have in the north, where we have so many girls being divorced at a very tender age, and she picked them up, enrolled them into school, and we enrolled them for WAEC and NECO, then JAM. We have so many graduates. Like I said, I'm an example. I was married with 5 kids, and of course, I wasn't allowed to pursue my dreams. I had to try to leave. It was a hard decision. I was decided to face my fears, and I left. And she helped me. I taught even in her school, the literacy center, where we teach these women. They don't even come with uniform, but they're allowed to come and learn. And after like a year or two, because most of them are like when they were in GS3, they got married. So they could read and write, and then we picked them from there, put them back to school. So my universities, we also have graduates right now as we speak. So I think this summit should have religious leaders that will come here and talk about some of the rights of the Muslim women. Because even in the time of the Prophet, women were like nurses. To treat those people, they were nurses, they were teachers. It wasn't a crime for women to pursue their dreams. So I think we need the religious leaders to come and talk to people so that these women will know their rights. It took me more than 15 years to know my rights. I was just in the house, just get pregnant, give birth, get pregnant, give birth. That was it.
before I faced my fears and left, it was hell for me. So I know that so many women are out there going through what I went through. I'm even still having the stigma of being a divorcee and family, friends. People will talk and talk. You left your 5 kids, how could you? But they won't even know it's not about the kids. Which woman will want to leave her children? For what? But I had to. I just had to. And I'm happy today that at least I'm doing what I love. I've gone to school. I'm still going to school. I'm still learning. So I also want to thank this forum. I'm so happy. And please, you people should help me thank Her Excellency. She's doing very wonderful for women that doesn't have voice. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your questions. Thank you so much for your comments. And thank you for following these conversations from your heart. Because I can see, I mean, what is standing out for me is that this is a heartfelt conversation. I don't know if you also feel the same way, but that is what is coming out for me. Security is popping out. I think that the conversation we're having here cannot be divorced from what is happening nationally. Erilu, you were the one who started this, where you talk about, women, girls, even in school, they're still not safe. And I think one of the works that I pointed out when I said that what I see, I'm going to do 3 goza for you, is about the safety, that creating that safe space, ensuring that those who abuse girls, especially underage girls, face the music. It is one of the few states across the Federation that has a register for sexual offenders. And I want to believe that that's also part of the influence that you are also wielding in that area. Of course, I also know that you have a very good Attorney General. I'm not trying to sing your praises, but it comes out, when women have power, even behind the scenes, and use their agency for good. So let me ask you, you've had the questions around security. Lagos State Primary Education Board chairman raised that question. Safe Schools Initiative. Only recently, some children were kidnapped. They're young girls, men as well. We've seen girls kidnapped in Jangebe. Right now, we're talking about those from Afaka in Kaduna State. And we saw that these girls were kidnapped with nothing other than their loincloths. I'm sure you've seen that video. And they're still out for how many days? What do you think can be done with regards to security and safety? Mr. Washika, you also intervene on that, but let me quickly come to you,
Thank you very much. And I'd like to, at this point, acknowledge my sister and colleague, Her Excellency Mrs. Aisha Bagudu, First Lady of Kebbi State. When I was giving my speech earlier on, this is what I meant by using our platforms to create legacies. Yes, we can't all be First Ladies. We can't all be the chair of a leading bank in the country. But from wherever we are, we have to be able to do something that will have an impact on the lives of other people. And we just heard this testimony now. So thank you, Your Excellency. When it comes to the issue of security, especially security of women and girls, I believe it is the responsibility of everyone. We need to hold our leaders accountable. We also need to play our role as citizens. Every parent, for example, in this room, or every guardian, if you've not done so already, go to your children's school or your grandchildren's school or have that conversation around what security means in that context. Because the government might not be able to secure everyone. It is their job to do so, it's their responsibility, but they might not be able to do it everywhere for everyone. And that's one other example of what I meant by community, to take the safety and security for ourselves and our children into our own hands. For goodness sake, our children are not goats and chickens that can be headed into vehicles and stolen away in the middle of the night. 200 at a time, 300, for goodness sake. If you put 300 goats in a truck and drive them away, there'll be a ruckus. Not to talk of human beings, for goodness sake. So we all need to feel a sense of outrage about this, and we all have a responsibility to do what can be done. And whilst I have the mic, the sister who asked the question about what we can do in terms of, security issues, gender-based violence, the role of the police, what are they doing? Well, as I said earlier, it's a key question, access to justice, the role of police and all the security services in ensuring that victims have justice. But a familiar issue will come up against, and since you work with the women's rights organization, I'm sure it's something you've experienced before. Families obstructing justice. Families denying minors who have been abused the right to a voice. It is one of the reasons why, for example, in Ekiti State, last year, we passed a new law. We have the gender-based violence law, the Domesticated VAP Act. But we passed an additional law, the Treatment, Care and Protection of Sexually Abused Minors law in Ekiti State. Because we needed to do something around ensuring that minors have justice, to stop parents from obstructing justice, to stop parents encouraging delegations made up of traditional rulers and religious leaders, and even people like us, big men and women, to come and beg families of victims so that the perpetrator can go free. With that law in place, now in Ekiti State, it is an offense for you to go and start obstructing justice in that way. Minors are entitled to justice. If victims don't have justice, what that means is there's no closure. And with no closure, there's no healing. And we need to turn every victim of gender-based violence into a survivor.
Much, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'm going to take that also as your closing comment. So, Mr. Bankole, let me quickly ask you to intervene on this and also give us your closing comments as we wrap up the conversation.
Okay, so I'm going to say two things. The first one, somebody talked around women in the boardroom, not just as handpicking them. Please check the latest board for UPDC. The latest board for UPDC. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they probably are 100% women. No, the management, sorry, the management, sorry. So in terms of leadership at that level, that's one. Two, somebody talked about, although I have my own issues, that we must always balance things. The second thing that I would like to say is around somebody, the She Leads, that asked a question around support, either from government or from corporate. What I would say is that please look very carefully. There are many organizations that are supporting women at different levels for different things. For instance, we have a bank that is supporting women in technology. So we work with them to be able to support women in technology. We have women, we have other organizations, and indeed some government, state governments, and indeed federal, that are specifically supporting women. And where they are supporting everybody, there is always a higher percentage that is focusing on women. All the time. Even the last grants that were given by CBN, 60% of it was for women. So these are some of the things, but information is very critical. So we need to have women, or we need organizations that will keep the women informed. And the very last one I will say, reflecting on this same issue we discussed with young people. 10 years ago, young people were complaining, in quote, about not having access either into the business ladder and so on. But today, they are driving the conversation. And so what have they done differently that women can learn from? Because yes, they may have the right skill sets. Yes, those skill sets may be the one that is even more required than the one that the men have. But what can they learn from the young people that have now seized the narrative and they are having that challenge, the conversation by themselves? So I challenge the women, even as I say, my name is Banky and I choose to support women.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bankole. I'm going to quickly take the closing comments of Ms. Lamptey. Ms. Lamptey, are you still with us? If you are.
Is she still there? Hello? Oh, great. So quickly, we'll take the closing.
Highlight the juvenile.
To everybody who has a question online, because I can still see some questions popping up. I'm sorry that we're totally out of time. I won't be able to take your questions, but I'm going to take your final interventions, Mrs. Ibukwa Woshika.
Okay. Thank you very much, okay. I just want to say that, you know, even though my brother Banki talked about the MPDC management being totally female, we cannot celebrate that, because it means that we want to revert to the mistakes that the guys made. If you go into a boardroom or a management that is all male, they will not be an efficient management because they are losing a lot of value. And for you to get diversity of opinion in any boardroom or management meeting, you need different voices that see things from different perspectives. So that's not what we're pushing for, and I hope nobody thinks that's something that we should celebrate. We must always seek to have representation, and we cannot make a case for representation if we do not allow representation. So the solution to lack of representation for female gender is not to remove the representation of male gender. We will create a social problem for ourselves, and we must have a society that works for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been a really stimulating conversation, and I have felt very privileged doing this. Mrs. Ibukwa Woshika, I have to thank you for your time. Mr. Bankole, thank you so much for sharing from your insights. Ms. Comfort Lamte, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Maiduguri and being patient for this conversation to eventually kick off. And of course, to our keynote speaker, Mrs. Bisi Fayemi, thank you so much for the work that you do, and also for that very inspiring keynote speech which you gave. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to The Guardian for putting this together. It's been a real privilege. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Malpe. Please, can you all be upstanding for a group picture? We need the photographers to come in right now so that we can capture this for the history. Please. All right, Malpe, you want to stand for the pictures, please, so that we can wrap up this session immediately. Please put down your face masks, if you don't mind, for a while, because we don't want people thinking we are dealing with masquerades. We know we are humans, amazing individuals, women, and a man blessed among women. Then you can put it up. Please, I'd like to invite the two chairmen to please join them. Lady Made in Hebrew, of course, Mrs. Ifeanyiwa Igodalo, to please come up and join them for this picture. Okay. Put this down. No, it's okay. Careful, ma'am. Mrs. Igodalo. All right, congratulations for such an insightful panel session. Please, I'm going to ask, please put down your mask just for the photo op. Don't worry, very soon this is going to be over. We have to go back to the days where we don't need to use face masks. While this is going on, I want to quickly recognize one of our sponsors, Geely Autos, one of the displays out here right now. In the meantime, I'll definitely ask Mrs. Igodalo and Lady Maiden to please wait behind. Let everybody wait behind still. Can I have the gifts for them? Ma, you're leaving, ma? Whoa, okay. So hand it over to the chairman, Guardian, as they present the gift. Erelu can sit down, please, ma, for a moment, because we still need you for this session, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, we can have that presented to Mr. Peter. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Peter, thank you so very much. The next gift goes to Malpe. Malpe, please. How wonderful it is for us to have been able to have her, but she has to leave. So, congratulations for a wonderful moderation. All right, thank you very much. Before, at this point in time, as Malpe leaves the stage, I would like to invite the First Lady of Kebbi State, Her Excellency Ajia Aisha Bagudu, to please come up. And of course, the First Lady Ekiti is here of the state. Mrs. Ifeanyiwa Igodalo is here, and of course, our chairman is here. We'd like to also invite the barrister, Mrs. Akinloye Bukola, representing Her Excellency Bijoke Sanwo-Olu, to please come up for this. Apparently, we were supposed to hold back our chairman, First Bank PLC Nigeria, who is our good sponsor for this photo op. But apparently she had to quickly run for a quick meeting. However, I want to believe that the head of the global head for marketing and corporate communication is here. So perhaps she can represent the First Lady, sorry, the chairman of First Bank. And that is Mrs. Folake Ani Momoni. Please hold on for our sponsor, our good sponsor. That picture will not capture if you are not there. Thank you very much. Please, face mask. Can we do this without the face mask? So sorry, I know this is not very comfortable, but it's okay. Oh, it's not easy at all. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. And a big thank you to First Bank, our good sponsors. Please, you can have your seats. Please put your hands together for them. Just as I was, thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much, Mrs. Guadalupe. Our Excellency, thank you very much for your patience. You're indeed a very strong woman. Please, can you put your hands together for all of them? Quickly, I would like to announce that Geely by Meccano has a car at just outside for a limited offer of 8.6 million, and it's a brand that is renowned for safety, durability, and reliability as well, with a 5-year, 150,000 kilometer warranty, and it's brought to you by one of our sponsors in the house. Please make sure you go out and you see and visit that. But before we go ahead, we still have the final part of the program to go into. However, we're going to be having a short speech from the representative of Her Excellency Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, that is Barrister Mrs. Akinloye Bukola, as she comes forward to make that short presentation on behalf of Her Excellency. Please, can we put our hands together for her? And afterwards, we are going to the last set of awards, from which we are going to definitely call it a day and have lunch. We also understand there is an interview session that is going to be put together. Please, can Her Excellency representative, Barrister Mrs. Akinloye Bukola, come up to make a presentation on behalf of Her Excellency? Please, let's put our hands together for her. Thank you very much, Meccano. Geely by Meccano, thank you very much also. First Bank for being our good sponsors. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. My name is Kola Akinloye. I'm here today to represent the First Lady of Lagos State, Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu. And before I proceed, may I observe this order of protocol? Good afternoon to representative of Her Excellency, the First Lady of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Mrs. Aisha Buhari, Mrs. Comfort Lamte, the UN Women Country Representative for Nigeria and ECOWAS, Mrs. Dame Pauline Chalen, Minister for Women Affairs and Social Development, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Her Excellency, the First Lady of Ekiti State, Erelu Isifayemi, Her Excellency, Dr. Zainab Aisha Bagudu, the First Lady of Kebbi State, the guest speakers, all attendees here present, and awardees, and the Lady Medium Alex Hebrew, Chairman, Publisher, The Guardian Nigeria, and other invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring this goodwill message from Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, and it is in recognizing this year's women doing well in public service, and I am glad to join you at this special occasion aimed at promoting leadership and appreciating the contribution of women in the public sector. The theme of this year's International Day is "We choose to challenge." It remains a symbolic one to our constant stride to position women as an indispensable gender in our society. Public administration is the foundation of all government and a major employer in most countries. As such, women participation in the civil service is a vital economic empowerment, as well as for mirroring the fabric of the society in a country's public institution. In Lagos State, government has continued to remain purposeful in delivery of equitable space and closing gender gaps in public life. As a society seeking to foster inclusive growth and build trust in public institutions, equal participation in public administration remains a springboard towards strengthening the relationship between the state and the society. Our public service modernization has further strengthened the fundamental public values and principles. Merit and diversity have been established, contributing to the increase of women in public sector employment. Ladies and gentlemen, equal representation of women in public sector employment helps achieve fairness, openness, and representation. It also improves the quality of service delivery through a better understanding of the citizenry. However, it is important to note that reaching gender equality between men and women in public sectors go beyond numerical balance. Evidence still suggests that women continue to face major difficulties in accessing management and leadership positions. While government plays an important role in removing these barriers through positive actions, policies that support diversity, targets and employment equity law, individuals, corporate bodies, civil society organizations, and non-governmental institutions must also be responsive by facilitating and mentoring networks for women leadership development. Media organizations are also partners in this drive. Awareness-raising programs and initiatives that will propel equality and work-life balance should be at the front burner of media discussion, which the Guardian is already setting a pace. As we choose to challenge these barriers, we have to make bold our intention to accelerate actions and provide the needed ambience for women development in public and private sectors. The improvements will further make it possible to set goals, advocate and monitor progress of women across all segments of our society. May I congratulate all awardees. I want to challenge every one of us to be an inspiration to the next generation of women, giving them the hope to find their voice. Let me appreciate the organizers of this event, Guardian newspaper, the planning committee, WIMBIS, partners, and Ollard and Bridge Limited for amplifying the network and pushing the conversation on the role of women in our society. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And the sales well to Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last lap of the International Women's Day Summit 2021, with a particular need for us to definitely recognize the women in-house. To help me with this particular assignment, I would like to invite the Global Head Marketing and Corporate Communications for First Bank of Nigeria Limited, the FBN Holding PLC, Mrs. Folake Ani Mumuni, to please come up, as we are going to be presenting the award Women in Politics to the recipient, who, as a matter of fact, this award is for the most impactful female senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that award goes to Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by Honorable Mrs. Omalara Essien, Chair Conference 57, and Lagos Mainland LGA, and Honorable Wahab Alawiye King, Chairperson of Lagos State University Basic Education Board, to come up to take this award on behalf of the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, for the most impactful female senator of the Federal Republic. Madam Mumuni, you have to move to the center so that we can capture the whole, the center of it all. Is she okay? All right, thank you. Please, can we put our hands together for Senator Oluremi Tinubu most impacted female senator of the Federal Republic, represented here by Honorable Mrs. Omalarai Sen and Honorable Wahab Alawiye King. The next award will be Women in Academia, and that is going to be definitely presented by Mrs. Tejumola Abisoye, the Executive Secretary of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, one of our sponsors. She should just be on cue as I'm going to be calling her next. And then we're going to have category 5, which is institutions supporting women. Thank you very much. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Madam Mumuni. Please, I would like to invite Mrs. Tejumola Abisoye to please come up to help us present this award, which is Women in Academia category. She is the Executive Secretary of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, one of our sponsors. Thank you very much. In the middle, please, ma'am. All right, and this goes to, this is for the outstanding female deputy rector, and that goes to Dr. Mrs. Antonia Nneka Nwosu, Deputy Rector Administration for the Federal Polytechnic Nikedem Owerri, Imo State. Please put your hands together for her. Congratulations, ma'am. Please watch your step. DJ, we don't even have the champion sound. Please, let's celebrate these people. It's not easy.
So stand up for the champions, stand up.
All right, to help me present for the institution supporting women, which is our category 5, I would like to call on the Executive Council Chairperson of Wimbase, Mrs. Ungova Iyembe Nwakwo, to please come up to help me make presentation for this particular category. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Ungova. And this category, obviously, we have outstanding female-led organization. We also have for the institution supporting women. Certainly, we also have for that, which is under this category. We have 3 recipients. First, outstanding female-led organization. DJ, thank you. Outstanding female-led organization, Honorable Abike Dabiri Herrera, Director General, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NITCOM, ably represented here by Mr. Dikbo Odebowale and Ms. Shalewa Adjila. Please, can you put your hands together for her? Outstanding female-led organization. Please, can we have Mr. Dikbo Odebowale and Ms. Shalewa Adjila to please come up to take this. And this is for the outstanding female-led organization, and that goes to Honorable Abike Dabiri Herrera, DG Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NITCOM. And then for the next awards, and I'm so excited for this one, goes to Hajia Aisha Bagudu, Her Excellency, the wife of the Kebbi State Governor and founder of Mass Al-Majiri Literacy and Poverty Alleviation Initiative, MALPI. Please, can we put our hands together for Her Excellency Hajia Aisha Bagudu for this amazing award for institutions supporting women.
Stand up for the champions, stand up.
Your Excellency, you are doing a wonderful job. I mean, we have a testimony that has been presented here today. Please watch your step. Congratulations, Madam. Her Excellency of Kebbi State, Hajia Aisha Bagudu. Congratulations, ma'am. Malpai Foundation obviously is doing something wonderful. And of course, the institution supporting women. The next award goes to Her Excellency Chief DJ, thank you. Her Excellency Chief Mrs. Ebelechukwu Obiano, the wife of Anambra State Governor, as well as the founder, the Caring Family Enhancement Initiative. She is ably represented here by Mrs. Uloma Wise, the SSA and Liaison Officer, Anambra State Liaison Office here in Lagos. Mrs. Uloma, please come up. DJ, champion sound, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be careful. The final award for this evening is going to be presented by the editor-in-chief of The Guardian, my very good Oga at the top, a man I'm very honored to be associated with, Mr. Martins Oloja, who is going to be coming up to help me with this final award presentation. 4 is a special recognition award, as a matter of fact. So please, can I have Mr. Martins Oloja, editor-in-chief of The Guardian? Thank you so very much, Mrs. Ngova. You did a wonderful job. It's amazing working with the WIMBIS team. Please, ladies and gentlemen, this is the special awards category, and then it is going to one of our own person who has done a job so excellent that we know that she deserves this award. And that award goes certainly to Dame Julie Oka Donley, the immediate past DG of NAPTIP, that is the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person, and Chairman Board of Trustee United Nations Voluntary Trust Fund for Victims of Trafficking in Persons, and Chairman of the Roost Foundation. Congratulations, Dame Julie Oka. Congratulations, sir. Well, we have a posthumous award in recognition of excellence for women in public service to late Tolulokpe Arotele, in appreciation of outstanding contribution to the public service in Nigeria. So you need to present that to the public for them to see that. That is a posthumous award. Thank you very much, TJ. Congratulations to her. May the Lord rest her soul. Thank you very much. Mr. Martins Oloja, I want to say a big thank you for a wonderful job. Thank you, sir. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we have come to the last lap of the event. And I'm so excited about this because I would like to invite a woman who I've been so very pleased and honored to work with, the Executive Director of WIMBIS, Mrs. Hansatu Adegbite, as she comes to give the vote of thanks. Please put your hands together for her. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to... Sorry. On behalf of the chairman and publisher of Guardian, the board of Guardian, and all the management team, the board of trustees, the executive council, and our associates and management team of WIMBIS, we want to appreciate, first of all, our keynote speaker, our distinguished speakers, all our awardees, and all our her excellencies, our excellencies, if I may, for their presence here. I use this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors and our media partners. First Bank of Nigeria has been our gold sponsor. The Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, Gili by Mikano, Channels TV, our partners Eventful, Bell Imex Limited, Corapay, Ollard and Bridge, and all the media partners present. We just want to say a huge thank you. I want to invite all the members of the committee, the planning committee from WIMBIS, from the Guardian, from Eventful, all members of the planning committee. WIMBIS, the Guardian, and Eventful, all the planning committee members, they were the ones that actually planned together under such a short time period and brought this thing to fruition. I want to appreciate all the members of the planning committee. Their names are there in the brochure. We use this opportunity to appreciate all our online participants and our technical team and all our vendors for making this day a success. We wish every single person a happy International Women's Day month. Congratulations to all of us and all the women and awardees present here today.
Thank you very much. I fondly call her Mrs. Eche. She's one of the most excellent women that I've had the privilege of working with. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a singular privilege of myself to be the anchor of this event. I want to say a big thank you to every single one of us, especially Lady Maiden Alex Ibru, the chairman and publisher of The Guardian, for the patience and encouragement. Thank you also to Ollard and Bridge for this event, as well as WIMBIS, God bless you all. Remember, Geely Autos is still very much outside for 8.6 million. You won't be able to get that offer after this. Thank you very much. And then there is lunch being served, please. Make sure you don't leave without having lunch. It's not in the tradition of Guardian or Wimbies to not entertain their guests. There is lunch on ground, so please make sure you don't leave until you have lunch. All right, and this has been paid for thanks to the First Bank, our GOAT sponsor, as well as, of course, Dilly by Meccano, certainly Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, Channels Television, Billpex, as a matter of fact, who have given us all wonderful gifts to go home with. Thank you very much, and God bless you. My name remains Stephen Ipalobo Lawson. DJ Cheflon, over to you.
But you can call me Umbaku. Then say a woman plays now for kitchen. Say she supposed to fry all the chicken. Not supposed to talk for the meeting. Concern herself with the cleaning. Yo, yo, yo. My mother is a woman. You cannot talk like this. Yo, yo. Rihanna is a woman. I say, come on, it's for that, you. It's for that, baby. Control it, mommy. I want to teach you the dance. Chiki chiki kopewa, tomato, antana, dance kira, potato, shakara, chiki.
Kiki, you don't be like say me I dey too talk. Make you no go be like say I get blocked. But now the other man you want to go and link up, oh baby. I know be say I even gonna take drop, but I'm the sickest nigga you can find in this world.
away for 6 months, twice in a year, baby.